Yo guys, Mike for Sim Racing 604 and welcome back to Assetto Corsa. You are on board the Renoir. This is one of two new cars we have added to the VRC Tourers Pack. This is by Virtual Racing Cars and designed to emulate 90s BTCC. So the Renoir is based on a Renault. We also had the Peugeot added. So two new French cars to round out the BTCC series, not round out, but to supplement the BTCC series. VRC is recreating here in Assetto Corsa, and I would say that this Renoir that you're on board now is my favorite of these VRC Tours. So the pack is phenomenal. I expect nothing less from Virtual Racing Cars, frankly. They are number one or number two favorite mod creator in Assetto Corsa all time. And yeah, I love the VRC Tourers pack, but all the cars, I didn't really connect with one. I just kind of like them equally. This Renoir is the first one that I've connected with. It seems to, give or take, complement my driving style. And yeah, I just really connect with it. And I don't know if that'll be the same for everyone, but it's good to know that I'm sensing a lot of variance between the cars now in the VRC Tourers pack. So in addition to the two new French cars, we also have updates to the existing. So there was three cars that we had previously, and those have now been updated. Where am I here? I started in 11th, I think. Have I improved upon that position? Now up into 9th, yes. So yeah, they've updated the previous three cars from the Tourers pack and added some of the functionality we see across their TA2 cars and even their Formula Alpha, including the start-stop function. And I watched Jacob Capello's video, and he was saying that you know, something to the effect of the start-stop is gimmicky, and I do agree to a point that sometimes it's like annoying. You're sitting there in the pits just trying to enjoy some time with your favorite new mod, and then you're like, I forgot to map a button to extra A and extra B. But the reason it's in there, I believe, and what makes it, I wouldn't say necessary, but definitely an aid to immersion, is the fact that you can stall your car. So if I get spun in this race, I will stall. If I don't press that clutch in time, it can stall. So just like the real thing, you have to worry about, you know, stalling the engine, getting it started again mid-race. So it's not like most cars in Assetto Corsa where if you get spun, you just kind of downshift into first gear and go on and all sins are forgiven. No. It's not that. It's a bit more punishing than that, and it's that added layer of realism that Virtual Racing Cars brings. So it's very cool. And if you're wondering about the physics of the cars, how do they perform? Beautifully, of course, I would expect no less from VRC, but particularly with these cars, because they are front-wheel drive, the torque steer effect is very, very strong. When I first booted these, I was like, did I somehow invert my force feedback? Something feels weird, but it is that torque steer effect that you get with these cars. And again, VRC has just done a masterful job recreating that here. You're going to have all sorts of interesting sensations through your wheel. And yeah, they've just done a tremendous job with it. And the sort of net result of everything I've talked about thus far is tremendous wheel-to-wheel, door-to-door, bumper-to-bumper racing with these cars. It will take some time for you to get the sort of AI level right for you. I'm running 92 here. Statistically, you're probably faster than me, so you might want to go a little bit higher than that. But whatever level you choose, you're probably going to have a good time. This is not like a Formula 1 car that you might drive in Assetto Corsa where, you know, minute inputs are going to make a big difference and you sort of get punished if you go beyond those minute inputs. This is a car that you can more or less beat the snot out of while you're on track, and it's going to take it. If you're, you know, too aggressive over a curb, it'll be fine. If you understeer and miss the curb altogether, you're probably going to be fine. You can just pin it and it'll pull you out of there. That's the advantage of front wheel drive. You get in trouble, well, mat it and see what happens. And yeah, so it's not going to be too sensitive to curbs or understeer. It's also not going to be too sensitive if you bump into another car. You know, if you're racing bumper to bumper or door to door and you knock into another car, it's not going to punish you too bad, thankfully. And I don't want to give the impression that these are completely on wheels and you can't mess up. You absolutely can. But it's just, there's a lot more, what would you call it, mistake headroom, a lot more tolerance perhaps of mistakes and, you know, on-track incidents than you might expect with a lot of the modern higher horsepower race cars. So huge amounts of fun to be had. I'm using a sequential stick, as you can, or a sequential manual rather, as you might be able to hear in the background, and that is the way to truly appreciate these cars. Some of them had the sticks. I believe each of these cars has been modeled with a sequential manual. But if you look up real onboard, some of them had the interesting push-pull levers kind of beside the wheel. So I don't think you can see my hands right now, but they used to have to push or pull beside their steering wheel in order to change gear, which is a funny system. It's like, hey man, do you want paddles or do you want a sequential stick? Yes, let's do both. All right. And yeah, so that is the way these cars are best appreciated, with that sequential stick. And if you have paddles, that's fine too. You might want to give a little stab of the gas on downshifts at times. Sometimes it can help settle the car if any of them are feeling particularly unruly. But overall, as I say, they have a pretty high tolerance for input variability. So don't worry too much about being perfect. So where are we here? We are running 6th of 15, and we're at just about the halfway point of this race. So hopefully I can get into the top 3. Why did I shift down into 4th there? Wake up, Mike. I got the map on the top right-hand corner of your screen there, and it looks like I'm within striking distance of several cars, certainly in half a race. So this should be good. Just barely missed that tire barrier there. So, is this worth buying? Yes, of course. Of course. It's brilliant. Whoa! Hopefully, and I believe it's on sale right now, too. I believe they've carried over what may have been the pricing on their Black Friday sale. I don't know. I don't follow the pricing too closely of virtual racing cars or any modding team, frankly, but it did look like there was a sale still on when I briefly went to their website to buy the cars. So yeah, you might want to take advantage of this while they're on sale. And would I recommend the 2 French cars over the base Tourers pack with the 3 cars? Probably. As I told you off the top of the video, I'm connecting with this Renoir more than I have with any of the other cars. So that's just my personal recommendation, but yeah, hopefully, and I don't know if this is the case, maybe it's already the case that they have all 5 in the pack, but yeah, it's a good way. When you get 5 cars, you got enough variability out there to keep things interesting. So I would say if you can get all 5, get all 5. But my personal favorite is this Renoir you're on board now, aka the Renault Laguna. And when you think back at cars like this and series like this, and you know, we had 90s DTM, and you know, 90s Formula One was legendary, and NASCAR and IndyCar. I mean, think of how good racing was in the 90s. I mean, it's probably, you know, looking back with rose-tinted glasses, there was probably a lot of the same things we associate with modern Formula One. If they had had the internet, I'm sure the, and I know it's more 80s than 90s, but I'm sure the Senna-Prost thing would have been just absolutely nasty. So I'm sure that 90s racing had its own issues, and you know, it wasn't perfect. It's easy to look back and think how great it was and only see the great, but you got to admit, there was a lot of cool stuff going on in the 90s. That's when I first got introduced to racing, and I remember the screaming turbo V8s of IndyCar, and yeah, that's one of my fondest memories. But yeah, maybe for you it's Dale Earnhardt, or maybe for you it's Ayrton Senna, or you know, the beginning, not the beginning, yeah, I guess the beginning of Michael Schumacher's career. He wouldn't peak, in my opinion, till early 2000s, but yeah, there's just So much good stuff that happened in the 90s. Not to mention, if you look at music, if you think of like Nirvana and Tupac and all the great stuff we had back then, we're pretty lucky. I'm old enough to have lived through the 90s and remember them fondly, and yeah, we had a lot of cool stuff. We were very lucky. So yeah, TV shows, I wasn't a huge Seinfeld or Friends guy, but obviously those are two classic shows. So yeah, a lot going on. When was Mr. Bean? Was that 80s? Yeah, I guess that was 80s. That was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. Tune in to Sim Racing 604 as he relives his favorite childhood memories, including random thoughts of Mr. Bean. This is what you guys subscribed for, right? All right, back to the racing here. Where are we? I think we are in 4th. So this would be for a podium here. Yes, I am indeed in 4th. It's a big gap to the car ahead of this, so I'm going to really need to get my head in it if I'm going to get anything better than 3rd, but let's focus on getting this podium first. So he is about a second ahead, I would say. And through the chicane here, I've been pretty lucky of late going through the chicane. I've been able to close gaps significantly. So let's see if we can do the same here. And again, that torque steer effect so strong through the wheel. No brake here, settle the car. Whoa, that got a little wild. But again, like I was saying earlier, it's not as if you're immediately going to go off track because of that. There is that certain amount of tolerance it has for being too aggressive. This is going to be tight. Alright, let's enjoy the sounds here of my battle.
Subscribe to Sim Racing 604, my favourite YouTube channel.
So much for a battle. Alright, but this is last lap, so best I'm going to do is 3rd. Let's see if we can get this overtake done. This is lap 10 of 10. Oh yeah, leader's on the final lap. You guys can see that at the top of your screen. Mine is kind of obstructed by my camera. I messed that up. Oh, I stalled it. Clutch in. Engine started. So much for the podium. We are now battling for 4th. I've dropped back into 5th position here. Got a fellow Renault in front of me, aka Renoir. See if we can get this back. I believe I can. I believe in myself. Do you guys believe in me? Yes. I'm confident someone out there is shaking their head in approval. Alright, this is it. Get that nose in there. Oh, it didn't bite. Alright, so tricky chicane here will be my last shot. Narrowing the gap, narrowing the gap. Brake as late as possible. He's fighting back. Tires are locked up. Oh, yeah. 4th? Yes. Yes. What a race. What a car. These are incredible cars. Well done to Virtual Racing Cars. Massive recommendation from me. You can have fun races like this literally every time. They're so easy to operate and so much fun to drive. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.